3 years after my death, I was dug out of the imperial mausoleum by Zhao Jinghuai. I was a bit angry, so I floated in front of Zhao Jinghuai, constantly blowing in energy to scare him away. Can't even rest in peace after death? Zhao Jinghuai, are you doing this on purpose? Zhao Jinghuai couldn't hear me, he just silently held my remains in his arms. But unfortunately, my bones were no longer intact. No matter how he tried to gather them, they wouldn't be whole again. I sighed and wrapped my whole body around him. Forget it, opening the coffin and whipping the corpse counts as you venting your anger. Welcome to listen to the ancient Chinese romance story. I'm the blogger and I'm Whispers of Phoenix. Now let's start the main story. Today is the 3rd anniversary of my death. Zhao Jinghuai came alone to the imperial mausoleum and dug up my grave. On the day I died, Zhao Jinghuai said he would make me die without a burial place. And now it has truly come true. Zhao Jinghuai expressionlessly held my remains and silently placed them into a specially customized brocade box. I floated to his side and complained unhappily. Zhao Jinghuai, at least wrap me in clothes. What's the idea of leaving me naked like this? Zhao Jinghuai pursed his thin lips tightly, as if he heard what I said. He took off his fox fur cloak and wrapped my remains in it. I smiled with satisfaction, floating around Zhao Jinghuai, wishing I could just cling to him. After all, he was the first living person I had seen in 3 years, so I was naturally overjoyed. In the 3 years after death, I was bored every day in the imperial mausoleum, and what I did most was wander around aimlessly. At first, I couldn't control my body that kept floating up and down, but after 3 years, I became more skilled at controlling it. But it was very strange. In 3 years, I was the only ghost in the entire imperial mausoleum. I lay in front of my mother's tomb complaining dejectedly. It seems Mother doesn't really love me. She went to the underworld for reincarnation without taking me along. I often wondered, could it be that I really had unfinished business from my previous life? That's why I couldn't reincarnate? Zhao Jinghuai, where are you taking me? I shamelessly wrapped my body around Zhao Jinghuai's waist, smiling as I lightly tapped his face with my finger, thinking that I must look very ugly now. Even if I smile, it must be terrifying. Zhao Jinghuai's face was calm. He slowly stood up and stood in front of my grave for a long time. 3 years, you must be lonely. It's time to take you home. Home. But I no longer have a home. My home was destroyed by Zhao Jinghuai 3 years ago. I moved closer, trying to see the stubble on Zhao Jinghuai's chin clearly. Zhao Jinghuai, I'm still 19, but you're already 24, you've gotten old. I reached out to touch it, but accidentally met Zhao Jinghuai's deep eyes, like a pool of still water. He didn't speak, just looked quietly at my face, not a trace of emotion in his eyes. I was shocked and waved my pale, almost transparent hand in front of his face. Zhao Jinghuai, can you see me? I hoped Zhao Jinghuai could see me. That would mean I wasn't alone. But I also didn't want him to see me because after all, I am his enemy. He probably wishes he could tear my soul to pieces. After a long time, I followed Zhao Jinghuai's gaze and looked over. My heart sank with disappointment. It turned out he wasn't looking at me, but was attracted by the blooming crabapple tree behind me. I felt a bit discouraged. I really wanted to talk to someone, even if this person saw me as an enemy. Zhao Jinghuai picked a crabapple flower from behind my tomb and placed it in the brocade box before carrying it down the mountain. Before leaving, Zhao Jinghuai stopped in front of my father's tomb, his knuckles turning white as he clenched his fists tightly. I grabbed Zhao Jinghuai's sleeve, swallowing nervously in fear. Zhao Jinghuai, my father was wrong, but the dead should be respected. Digging up my grave to vent your anger is enough. No need to dig up my father's tomb too, right? Zhao Jinghuai's eyes darkened, but he ultimately sighed and bowed in front of my father. I breathed a sigh of relief watching Zhao Jinghuai's fading figure, feeling a bit empty inside. Without my remains, I was bored in the tomb with nothing left to guard. Maybe I should go see what Zhao Jinghuai is doing with my bones, hopefully not making soup with them. I went down the mountain relying on memories from my past life, and after searching for a long time, I finally found Zhao Jinghuai's residence. I heard from the common people that Zhao Jinghuai had long left the Prince Yu's mansion and moved to the Regent Prince's mansion. I stood with my hands on my hips at the entrance of the Regent Prince's mansion. Zhao Jinghuai, you've really made something of yourself. You actually became the Regent Prince. After 3 years apart, Zhao Jinghuai had become the Regent Prince, standing above all but one. I smiled, lifted my skirt, and slowly floated along the corridor of the Regent Prince's mansion. Since I had a connection with my body, I naturally knew where Zhao Jinghuai had placed me. When I reached the room door, I pressed my ear against the window and heard some movement inside. I crouched down, quietly passed through the door and entered the room. Since no one could see me now, I could go anywhere freely. Behind the screen, Zhao Jinghuai sat in the bathtub with his eyes closed, resting. I glanced over and saw my remains neatly placed on Zhao Jinghuai's bed. I couldn't help but frown. Zhao Jinghuai was really bold, to even dare put such a thing on his bed. When I was alive, I never made it to Zhao Jinghuai's bed, but after death, I got the chance to lie on it. Thinking of this, my face instantly turned red. I slapped myself while cursing myself for still being a lustful person even after death. I reached out and touched my flushed face. It was still ice cold. So annoying. Why don't dead people have any warmth? I sat by Zhao Jinghuai's bathtub playing with the water by myself. Zhao Jinghuai didn't notice, still with his eyes closed, but when he placed his arms on the edge of the bathtub, they happened to rest on my shoulders. I quickly moved away a step, couldn't help but spit. Don't think you can take advantage of me just because I'm dead. 3 years ago, Zhao Jinghuai always found various reasons to take advantage of me, often cornering me in the palace hall to make me call him husband. At that time, Zhao Jinghuai and I had just gotten engaged, and the entire palace was busy preparing for our wedding. Zhao Jinghuai was shameless, coming to the palace every day under the pretext of paying respects to see me, bringing me the folk snacks I liked. I stomped hard on his foot, my face red as I said I hadn't married him yet, so of course I wouldn't call him husband. Zhao Jinghuai didn't force me, but every time we met, he would tease me with this phrase. But I never thought then that I would ultimately fail to marry him and call him husband. Zhao Jinghuai sat in the bathtub without making a sound, his well-built body covered in fine sweat beads, but there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. I was about to speak again when the sound of the door creaking open caught my attention. Turning to look, I saw Li Shiqing swaying her waist, her eyes seductive as she walked towards Zhao Jinghuai behind the screen. As if caught in adultery, I instinctively hid, crouching behind the curtain watching Li Shiqing smiling as she placed her hand on Zhao Jinghuai's broad shoulder. Your Highness, how about I serve you in your bath? My heart felt as if pierced by a thorn. It took me a long time to recover. I could only hide behind the curtain, out of sight, out of mind. Li Shiqing is my sister. After my death, she married Zhao Jinghuai and became his concubine. The sounds I expected didn't appear. When I peered out again, only Zhao Jinghuai was left in the room. Where is she? Where did Shiqing go? I floated to Zhao Jinghuai's side, looking around but couldn't see Li Shiqing anywhere. Zhao Jinghuai pursed his thin lips tightly, stood up abruptly from the bathtub, and stepped out as if no one was there, taking the towel from the screen to dry himself. I was stunned by the scene, quickly covered my eyes but found I couldn't cover them at all. I have to say, Zhao Jinghuai's body was still very good-looking. No wonder I insisted on marrying him back then. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but sigh. What a pity, before I could marry you, you killed me. Zhao Jinghuai paused while drying himself, standing silently without saying a word, not even putting on a robe. I sat dejectedly on the bed, talking to myself. You were the one who killed me. I wonder if my little life was enough to satisfy your anger. After all, my Li family wronged you. 3 years ago, during a palace coup, Zhao Jinghuai led his army to attack the imperial city, and I went from being the prestigious princess of Daming to a prisoner overnight. Before the rebels broke into the imperial city, my father and mother committed suicide by taking poison in their bedchambers. They knew in their hearts that if they fell into the rebels' hands, they wouldn't die so easily. Holding my father and mother's bodies, I quietly waited for the rebels to arrive. But the first to find me wasn't Zhao Jinghuai, but my sister Li Shiqing. Li Shiqing disdainfully threw a military order at me. The prince said, "Kill my sister to sacrifice to the soul of Prince Yu." Holding the military order written by Zhao Jinghuai himself, I finally gave up hope. I forced a smile, but it was uglier than crying. Zhao Jinghuai wants to kill me, fine. Yes, when my father ordered the extermination of the Zhao family, he should have expected today's outcome. Back then, over 100 members of the Zhao family were executed. Only Zhao Jinghuai, who was traveling outside, coincidentally escaped. I coldly looked at the luxurious Li Shiqing. She and I were both fallen princesses, but our situations were worlds apart. When the rebel army entered the city, Li Shiqing wasn't panicked at all. Instead, she became the leader of the rebels. Li Shiqing, you betrayed us? I drew my sword to charge at Li Shiqing, but was kicked to the ground by a quick-eyed guard. I spat out a mouthful of blood, collapsed on the ground unable to move, but still stared fiercely at Li Shiqing. Li Shiqing covered her mouth and giggled charmingly, her foot grinding hard on the back of my hand. Sister, I just went with the flow. The prince has promised that after killing you as a sacrifice to Prince Yu, he will marry me as his princess. Li Shiqing raised her wrist disdainfully, pretending to accidentally reveal the bracelet on her wrist. My face showed shock. Zhao Jinghuai had once said that bracelet was a relic of his deceased mother, meant for his future daughter-in-law. I sneered inwardly. Li Shiqing had admired Zhao Jinghuai for years, and now she had gotten her wish. Li Shiqing ordered me to be dismembered by 5 horses, and my body was casually thrown into a mass grave. When I woke up again, I found I had been buried in the imperial mausoleum. I didn't know who had collected me, nor why Zhao Jinghuai was willing to bury me in the imperial mausoleum. Zhao Jinghuai pursed his thin lips tightly, slowly putting on an undergarment. I pouted. So boring talking for so long and no one responded to me. Zhao Jinghuai slowly walked to the bed, leaning over to look quietly at the remains on the bed. The grand astrologer said you have heavy sins. Even going to hell means the 18th level, so it's better to return to the human world. Hearing about the 18th level of hell, a chill ran down my spine. I quickly floated to Zhao Jinghuai's side to hide. Zhao Jinghuai, even though I'm a ghost now, I still can't stand ghost stories. Zhao Jinghuai's slender fingers slowly stroked my bones. Then he took a bottle of medicine from the table and poured it on me. Even though I had been separated from my body for 3 years, I could still feel a sharp pain from the medicine's burning sensation. I was shocked, pouncing on Zhao Jinghuai to stop him from destroying the evidence. Zhao Jinghuai, you really want to whip the corpse? After a moment of physical discomfort, I felt my body gradually becoming heavier, not as light as before, and standing on the ground felt more solid. I looked down at my hands, which were no longer so transparent, smiled and reached out to wrap my arms around Zhao Jinghuai's waist. Zhao Jinghuai, this medicine seems to work well on me. Feeling Zhao Jinghuai's body stiffen, I was dumbfounded, my hands holding him not daring to move an inch. Could Zhao Jinghuai have discovered me? I hid in the corner, trembling as I looked at Zhao Jinghuai, afraid he would find out I existed. Zhao Jinghuai suddenly shivered, glanced at the window blown open by the wind and frowned. The north wind is really cold. I breathed a sigh of relief, happily jumped onto the bed, and looked with great interest at Zhao Jinghuai, who had been staring at the bones. Are you sprinkling medicine on me to make my body heavier so I feel more human? Zhao Jinghuai expressionlessly took a dagger, cut a wound in his palm, and let the blood drip onto my bones. Over the past 3 years my body was like a willow catkin, floating far away if I wasn't careful, which troubled me greatly. Now this was much better. I could still float but not too far. Zhao Jinghuai was still talking to himself by the bed. What you owe me, you still have to pay back before I let you go. I couldn't help but shiver, feeling that Zhao Jinghuai's action was somewhat suspicious. It definitely wasn't for my benefit. But the blood dripping on me finally gave my pale face a bit of color. I looked in the mirror quite satisfied with my now flushed face. Zhao Jinghuai, I feel a bit more like a living person. Over the past 3 years, whenever I saw my ghastly pale face by the lake, I found it terrifying and for a long time didn't want to face such a self. Zhao Jinghuai once said I was the most beautiful woman in Daming. I really wanted him to see me now and see if he could still say that. But Zhao Jinghuai seemed to be in a very good mood today. A smile always on his lips. My finger traced Zhao Jinghuai's thin lips. Zhao Jinghuai, I think you are the most handsome man in Daming. Zhao Jinghuai's thin lips parted slightly, his Adam's apple moving up and down constantly. According to the storybooks, when a man is aroused, his Adam's apple moves, and Zhao Jinghuai seemed to be like that. I slept by Zhao Jinghuai's side all night, and when I opened my eyes again, he had already gone out, covering me tightly with the blanket. Actually, I didn't need to rest, but the days were just too long. I couldn't go out during the day, and if I didn't sleep to pass the time, I would really go crazy. I opened the window to see what was outside. After all, I wasn't human and couldn't walk under the sun. A ray of sunlight shone directly into the room. I didn't have time to hide, so I could only raise my arm to block my face, but I was still hit by the sunlight. Strangely, it didn't hurt like the usual burning pain. I was fine and even found the sunlight very comfortable on my body. Gathering my courage, I floated out the door and saw Zhao Jinghuai standing under the round arch in the yard. a smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Zhao Jinghuai stretched out a hand, raising an eyebrow slightly as he looked in my direction. I pointed at my nose in surprise, but a charming voice sounded behind me at that moment. I turned around and saw Li Shiqing walking towards Zhao Jinghuai with a smile in her eyes. "Your Highness, are you calling me?" Zhao Jinghuai put away his smile and left the yard without a word, accompanied by Li Shiqing. I hid behind the pillar, not daring to come out until Zhao Jinghuai was far away. "Zhao Jinghuai, I told you long ago that you are a fickle bad man." 3 years ago, it was widely spread in the capital that Zhao Jinghuai had spent the night at the Qianchun Pavilion, and I was so angry I punched the wall, saying Zhao Jinghuai was not a good man. Unexpectedly, the next day my brother came to explain, saying that he had tricked Zhao Jinghuai into going to the Qianchun Pavilion that day. Zhao Jinghuai couldn't hold his liquor, had a few drinks and got drunk, so my brother carried him to an empty room to sleep. I angrily grabbed my brother by the neck, wishing I could bite him. "Did Zhao Jinghuai sleep alone? If you dare lie, I'll tell father and mother." My brother stared blankly and shook his head. "2 people. I was so angry I almost spat blood. I stepped on my brother and grabbed his hair crown. "You really arranged for a courtesan for Zhao Jinghuai?" My brother grinned. "I knew you would blow up. Actually, I slept in the same bed with brother Zhao." That day, I beat my brother severely, and still not satisfied, I rushed to Prince Yu's mansion, dragged Zhao Jinghuai out, and beat him up. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. But my brother and Zhao Jinghuai had been close friends for many years, but in the end he was killed by his best friend. I couldn't help but sigh, sitting dejectedly under the crabapple tree in a daze, letting the crabapple flowers fall all over me. The things remain, but the people are gone. Now my brother is dead, and Zhao Jinghuai and I are separated by life and death. Now the dynasty has changed. The new emperor is a member of the Li clan. You could say he's my cousin. Zhao Jinghuai, who masterminded the palace coup back then, didn't directly take the throne but became the powerful regent, which was beyond my expectation. As soon as I left Zhao Jinghuai's yard, I saw Li Shiqing scolding the servants in the back garden. I shook my head helplessly. Li Shiqing had been arrogant and domineering since childhood. Even when she was a princess in the palace, she always took her anger out on the palace maids and eunuchs. Now, 3 years later, Li Shiqing is still as ruthless as before. Seeing such a tyrannical Li Shiqing, I suddenly wanted to play a prank to teach her a lesson. Because of the blood Zhao Jinghuai had dripped on me, I barely had the strength to pick up a small stone. Li Shiqing viciously pulled a hairpin from her bun and stabbed the little maid's arm. "Don't think that dressing up fancily will make the prince notice, you lowly creatures." The little maid curled up on the ground, not daring to resist at all. "Princess, spare me, I won't dare again." I struggled to pick up a pebble from the ground and threw it at Li Shiqing's leg. "Ah!" A scream echoed through the back garden. I frowned. Oops, I missed and hit Li Shiqing's forehead. Li Shiqing was furious, covering her bleeding forehead as she kicked the maid to the ground. "You have some nerve, daring to plot against me in secret." All the maids knelt on the ground in terror, not daring to look up, afraid of being blamed by Li Shiqing. Not giving up, Li Shiqing gritted her teeth and ordered her personal maid to continue punishing the little maid. "Since none of you confess, I'll have to beat you until you talk." I sighed deeply with my arms crossed. This Li Shiqing is truly vicious. Without hesitation, I picked up stones from the ground and threw them at her again. The stones falling from the sky scared Li Shiqing so much her complexion changed. She hid behind her personal maid, looking around in terror. "Is it a ghost? How can stones fall from the sky?" I couldn't hold back a laugh. This time I specifically floated above Li Shiqing to throw the stones, so she had no reason to suspect the kneeling maids. But before I could be happy for long, I saw Li Shiqing tearfully throw herself into Zhao Jinghuai's arms. "Your Highness, someone is secretly harming me. You must stand up for me." Zhao Jinghuai held Li Shiqing in his arms, his deep eyes coldly scanning the surroundings. "Who did it? Confess honestly and I might leave your body intact." I sneered inwardly. "I don't even have a whole body now, what do I have to fear?" Li Shiqing nestled in Zhao Jinghuai's arms, speaking in a coquettish tone. "Your Highness, why not drive all these lowly maids out, especially that Qiuyu, she always gives me trouble." I looked down and saw the trembling figure in the crowd. Qiuyu was my personal maid. She once said that if I died, she would follow me in death. At that time I smiled and touched Qiuyu's face, then turned and knelt decisively in front of Li Shiqing. Spare Qiuyu, I'll give you my life in return. I used my engagement with Zhao Jinghuai to get Li Shiqing to spare Qiuyu's life. I bit my index finger expressionlessly, tore a piece of my skirt, and wrote a letter of severance to Zhao Jinghuai. Li Shiqing was very satisfied. With a slight lift of her finger, she spared Qiuyu's life. But I never expected that Qiuyu would continue to serve Li Shiqing. Zhao Jinghuai's eyes turned cold, and he moved his hand away from Li Shiqing's waist. You can deal with the others as you wish, but you cannot touch Qiuyu. Li Shiqing didn't expect Zhao Jinghuai to refuse so bluntly. To save face, she took out her handkerchief and started crying. Your Highness said you love me the most, but now I can't even handle a lowly maid. Zhao Jinghuai impatiently pinched the bridge of his nose and said coldly, keeping this lowly maid reminds me of that wretched woman's betrayal and cruelty towards me. Hearing this, the smile on my face instantly disappeared, and I felt a lump in my throat. So in Zhao Jinghuai's eyes I was so despicable. A flash of joy crossed Li Shiqing's eyes, and she stopped worrying about Qiuyu's fate, clinging to Zhao Jinghuai's arm and acting coy. Your Highness, there's a palace banquet in a few days, will you take me? I didn't listen to what came next. Dejected, I floated back to the room and buried myself under the covers in a sulk. The Zhao Jinghuai from before would never say a harsh word to me, but now he could call me a wretched woman in front of everyone. But no matter how sad I was, I had no tears. I could only stare blankly at the ceiling. Soon the door creaked open and steady footsteps approached. I lifted a corner of the blanket to see who it was. The hem of an embroidered robe appeared in my sight, with a fine jade pendant at the waist. I pouted sadly. This Zhao Jinghuai actually knew to come back. Thinking this, I paused. This is Zhao Jinghuai's room, so it's normal for him to come in. Without thinking, I floated out from under the blanket, ready to move to another room. I don't want to talk to you anymore. After searching around the backyard, I finally settled on a quiet, secluded courtyard that few people visited. I stayed in a small courtyard in the prince's mansion. It was quiet and perfect for me to sleep in every day. But every day I would go to Zhao Jinghuai's room to check on my body. After all, my body was in his hands and I really couldn't rest easy. Coincidentally, every time I went, I could see Zhao Jinghuai guarding my remains and talking to himself. Zhao Jinghuai would drip blood on me every day, and my body became more and more flushed. On the 7th day after I moved to the small courtyard, Zhao Jinghuai came to my room late at night with bedding and slept as if no one else was there. I jumped up in shock, staring wide-eyed at Zhao Jinghuai with his eyes closed, and couldn't help but kick him hard. I moved to such a remote place and you still found me? Zhao Jinghuai didn't answer. Even when I climbed on him and moved around, he remained asleep with steady breathing. The next day, when I went out for a stroll, I overheard from the maids' chatter that Zhao Jinghuai's courtyard had caught fire for some unknown reason the day before, forcing him to move to this small courtyard. I was utterly confused. How could the fire start so mysteriously right after I left? Lying on the beam in a daze for a long time, I suddenly remembered that my body was still in Zhao Jinghuai's courtyard. Could it have turned to ashes already? I anxiously rushed over, only to find the courtyard reduced to scorched earth, with nothing left. My heart leapt to my throat, terrified that even my last few bones had been burned away. After searching through the ruins for a long time, I slumped down dejectedly on the debris, lamenting that I was now truly without a trace. When I looked up, I saw Zhao Jinghuai running into the courtyard in a panic. Beads of sweat dotted his forehead, and he stood panting heavily in front of the ruins, looking around in alarm. I drifted to Zhao Jinghuai, wrapping my arms around his neck. Zhao Jinghuai, my bones are all burned up, and you're only coming now. Zhao Jinghuai ran to the ruins not to search for anything but just stood there, the panic in his eyes instantly vanishing. After a long time, Zhao Jinghuai's thin lips uttered a few words. It's fine, just some unimportant things burned. Hearing this, I flared up, pinching Zhao Jinghuai's face with both hands, gritting my teeth. What do you mean unimportant? Aren't my bones important? A faint smile curled at the corner of Zhao Jinghuai's mouth as he turned and left the scorched courtyard, satisfied. That night, angry, I sulked and ran to the soft couch in the bedroom to lie down, refusing to share the bed with Zhao Jinghuai. In the darkness, I faintly heard Zhao Jinghuai sigh, followed by the sound of him getting up and coming to lie down on the couch. I was pinned under Zhao Jinghuai. Though I couldn't feel the weight, it still felt stifling. I got stubborn, passing through Zhao Jinghuai's body to lie on top of him. Why should you ya me? I claimed this couch first, so only I can ya you. Zhao Jinghuai lay with his eyes open, quietly gazing at the moonlight outside the window, showing no reaction. Bored, I lay on Zhao Jinghuai's chest and began recounting past events. Since Zhao Jinghuai couldn't hear me, I had no reservations and told him about how I secretly climbed the wall to his mansion to see him 3 years ago, and followed him to the Qianchun pavilion. In the moonlight I saw Zhao Jinghuai's fluttering eyelashes. You blinked. I'll take that as you can hear me, I continued, explaining why I had climbed the wall to see him back then. At that time a young palace maid told me that Prince Yu's son was as handsome as Panan, a rare beauty in the world. Skeptical, I made a bet with Qiu Yu, saying Zhao Jinghuai couldn't possibly be more handsome than my brother. So I acted immediately. That night, I changed into a maid's outfit, left the palace, and climbed onto the wall of Prince Yu's mansion using a young eunuch's shoulder. Zhao Jinghuai was practicing swordplay in the courtyard. His movements were fluid, his sword energy like a dragon piercing through the air. I was mesmerized, staring blankly for a long time without regaining my senses. Paused at Prince Yu's mansion's wall for half an hour in a daze. By the time I came to, Zhao Jinghuai had long left the courtyard. After that, I immediately went to my father to request a marriage decree. My father frowned and didn't agree for a long time. But I persisted, seizing every opportunity to kneel before my father. Finally, one day my father, with a grim face, threw the imperial marriage decree into my hands, saying this was the path I had chosen and I must not regret it later. I smiled and kowtowed to my father several times, repeatedly saying I would never regret it. I didn't know then that my father had already decided to destroy Prince Yu's mansion. I sighed, lightly tracing Zhao Jinghuai's thin lips with my fingertip. If I hadn't asked my father for the marriage decree back then, would he not have moved to kill your father? Zhao Jinghuai remained tight-lipped, his face expressionless. When my father had Prince Yu's mansion raided, he told me the reason was that Prince Yu had formed cliques and plotted rebellion. I knelt on the ground, pleading for Prince Yu and Zhao Jinghuai, not caring that my forehead was bruised and bleeding. My father didn't listen to me but coldly slapped me, saying Zhao Jinghuai had approached me only to gain power and influence, using my status and authority as a princess. But it was I who had taken a liking to Zhao Jinghuai first. How could it be Zhao Jinghuai's fault as my father claimed? Before I could finish, I saw Zhao Jinghuai's expression change abruptly as he sat up suddenly. Before I could react, I passed through Zhao Jinghuai's body and ended up behind him. Displeased, I floated in front of him, ready to scold him, but through the moonlight, I saw a pool of blood on the ground. There was a trace of blood at the corner of Zhao Jinghuai's mouth. He calmly took a silk handkerchief from his robe and wiped it away. I frowned, leaning closer to Zhao Jinghuai. Zhao Jinghuai, are you going to die too? If you die, can you come keep me company? I joked, but seeing Zhao Jinghuai spit blood still made my heart ache. Zhao Jinghuai took a deep breath and stood up, walking toward the bed. I stood still, watching Zhao Jinghuai's lonely figure, feeling he seemed somewhat alone. Since you're so pitiful, I'll come keep you company to sleep. I smiled and nestled in Zhao Jinghuai's arms, obediently closing my eyes. A faint chuckle came from above. I looked up sharply but found Zhao Jinghuai already fast asleep. An illusion. I was hallucinating again. The next morning, Zhao Jinghuai didn't get up early to practice swordplay as usual but remained asleep. Feeling something was wrong, I moved closer to check but accidentally met Zhao Jinghuai's deep eyes. But Zhao Jinghuai's breathing was very unsteady, completely different from a month ago. I sighed and couldn't help but pinch his face. You didn't take care of your health. What's the use of being so powerful if you're just going to die young? Die young, wait, isn't that me? I'm the one who died young. On the day of the palace banquet, Li Shiqing dressed up early and knocked on Zhao Jinghuai's door, flamboyant as a peacock. Displeased, I followed behind Zhao Jinghuai, watching him coldly open the door. I couldn't help but spit in Li Shiqing's direction. Pa! I don't want to go to the palace banquet with you anyway. A few days earlier, when Zhao Jinghuai was reviewing the palace banquet guest list, I peeked over. Many old acquaintances would be there today, and I was very excited, circling around Zhao Jinghuai several times. Zhao Jinghuai coldly glanced at Li Shiqing. When did I say I would take you? Li Shiqing's face stiffened. Clearly, she hadn't expected Zhao Jinghuai to refuse so directly. Her eyes instantly reddened. Your Highness, I couldn't hold back my laughter. Everyone said Li Shiqing was favored, but over the past month, I had never seen her attend to him at night or seen Zhao Jinghuai treat her kindly. His favor towards her was only for show in front of others. Once alone, Zhao Jinghuai only had cold looks for her. Li Shiqing was so angry she gritted her teeth. With red eyes she grabbed Zhao Jinghuai's hand as he tried to close the door. Your Highness, you dug up Li Shi's bones a month ago. Why? Zhao Jinghuai coldly warned her. You have overstepped. I have given you enough face and glory. You should know why. I pricked up my ears, eager to know the reason, but Zhao Jinghuai stopped speaking just in time. Li Shiqing left in disgrace and I, excited, pressed close to Zhao Jinghuai, relentlessly questioning him. Why give Li Shiqing face? Did she find out you wet yourself? I lay on Zhao Jinghuai's shoulder, stubbornly asking. Zhao Jinghuai unusually shuddered today. Caught off guard, I was thrown to the ground. 3 years ago, after getting engaged to Zhao Jinghuai, to create a virtuous image in his eyes, I pestered Qiu to teach me cooking. My mother said that to win a man's heart, you must first win his stomach. Eagerly, I brought a food box and presented Zhao Jinghuai with the soup I had spent hours making. Zhao Jinghuai raised an eyebrow and drank the soup without hesitation. After drinking, he left me with a simple comment. Too salty. That day, Zhao Jinghuai came to the palace to pay respects and was kept by my father in the study to play chess for hours. When he finally emerged, I eagerly followed him, wanting him to try my next dish. Zhao Jinghuai frowned tightly, grabbed my hand and struggled to say, Where is the restroom? I was stunned. Our relationship hadn't reached the point where we could discuss such things, right? After recovering, I quickly led Zhao Jinghuai through the palace, but it was too late. He couldn't hold it in just outside the restroom. I pressed my lips together, comforting myself. It's fine, he's my future husband, it's okay. I secretly stole a set of ordinary clothes from my brother's chambers and guiltily handed them into the restroom. When Zhao Jinghuai came out, his face was ashen, and he coldly warned me that if I dared spread word, he would silence me. I covered my mouth tightly, swearing I wouldn't leak a single word. Returning to the present, I watched Zhao Jinghuai take that set of my brother's clothes from the wardrobe and put it on. This outfit was originally for my brother's outings. The fabric wasn't the best, but its value lay in the fact that I had embroidered it myself for him. I frowned, wondering if Zhao Jinghuai could really hear me, and was using this outfit to silently warn me. Before entering the palace, Zhao Jinghuai once again took out my bones, skillfully using a dagger to drip blood onto me. I was a bit confused. What did Zhao Jinghuai mean by this? Over the past month, I hadn't felt that his actions were meant to take revenge on me, because my body had clearly become more substantial. If everyone couldn't see me, I would have thought I was truly alive. I lay on Zhao Jinghuai's shoulder, already impatient. Can we hurry to the palace? I want to see Qingqing to see if she's well, if she married General Song, the one she longed for. Zhao Jinghuai lowered his gaze and after a long time, satisfied, closed the brocade box and placed it in the secret room. I couldn't help but laugh. What's so precious about my bones? No one would steal them. Why keep them in a secret room like a treasure? I followed Zhao Jinghuai into the carriage. He wasn't much of a talker, so he quietly read a book inside. Bored, I rested my head on my hand and looked out the window. I hadn't seen so many people in 3 years, and I couldn't help but feel excited. Zhao Jinghuai, so many people. It's been so long since I've seen this many. Zhao Jinghuai's eyes remained on the book, but a smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. I crouched beside Zhao Jinghuai, my hand uncontrollably stroking his cheek. Zhao Jinghuai, has anyone ever told you you look better when you smile? Thinking of this, my eyes dimmed, and I couldn't help but sigh. The one who had said that was Li Shiqing. After Zhao Jinghuai and I got engaged, Li Shiqing dragged me by the hand, insisting on sneaking a peek at her future brother-in-law. We followed Zhao Jinghuai to the Qianchun pavilion. At first I was angry, thinking the upright Zhao Jinghuai would visit such a place. Zhao Jinghuai entered a private room, fan in hand, while Li Shiqing and I hid next door, eavesdropping by the screen. A woman in sheer gauze swayed in and teased Zhao Jinghuai flirtatiously. Young prince, what brings you here today? I thought you had forgotten about me. Hearing this, I was furious, ready to charge over and tear out her hair. Zhao Jinghuai spoke unhurriedly. I came today to ask you something. What gifts do women like? My fiancé has been angry with me lately. The anger in my heart instantly vanished, and a smile I couldn't suppress spread across my face. So Zhao Jinghuai had realized that I was upset about him saying I had gained weight the other day. Li Shiqing craned her neck, almost leaning into the next room to watch the excitement. After a long time, Li Shiqing reluctantly turned back, grabbed my hand and said Zhao Jinghuai looked so handsome when he smiled. To be honest, before that, I had never seen Zhao Jinghuai smile. He always had an expressionless, icy face around me. I grinned, so Zhao Jinghuai had come to the Qianchun pavilion just to cheer me up. That put my mind at ease. Li Shiqing's gaze fell heavily on me, a strange emotion flashing in her eyes. Sister, you are so lucky to have such a good husband. At the time I thought Li Shiqing was congratulating me, but I never expected that from that day on, she would set her sights on Zhao Jinghuai. I tilted my head and leaned on Zhao Jinghuai's shoulder, casually flipping through the book in his hand, even though I couldn't touch it. Zhao Jinghuai, are you and Li Shiqing close? Do you really love her? This was a question I had wanted to ask since coming to the regent's mansion over a month ago, but I never had the courage. Thinking of my impropriety, I took a deep breath, sat up straight, and leaned against the carriage wall, closing my eyes. Zhao Jinghuai stopped turning the pages, holding the book with one hand, staring blankly at the page. The coachman suddenly pulling on the reins brought me back to reality. Losing my balance, I fell onto Zhao Jinghuai. Are we at the palace already? Zhao Jinghuai's slender fingers lifted the carriage curtain, and he stepped out steadily with his long legs. But as he descended, the carriage faintly echoed with two words. No. I froze as if struck by lightning, covering my chest, taking a long time to recover. Were those two words, no, meant for me? By the time I came to, Zhao Jinghuai had already strolled through the palace gates, his steps unusually light. I quickly floated over, draping my arms over his shoulders. You didn't wait for me, don't you know I have short legs? After a moment's thought I realized, wait, I don't use legs to walk anymore. The palace was still as I remembered. Everything I was familiar with remained, even the little turtle I drew on the wall as a child was still there. I looked around but accidentally met a pair of intense eyes. Those eyes stared straight at me as if seeing right through me. My heart skipped a beat. Could this man see me? The man wore a dark red Taoist robe, held a horsetail whisk, and had a long beard, clearly a deeply practiced old Taoist. A chill ran down my spine. I instinctively hid in Zhao Jinghuai's arms, afraid the old Taoist would capture me and I would be utterly destroyed. I had read about this in storybooks. Taoists could subdue demons and exorcise evil spirits. And I was now that evil spirit. Zhao Jinghuai couldn't sense my fear. Pursing his thin lips, he walked toward the Taoist and bowed respectfully. How has the Grand Astrologer been lately? The Grand Astrologer stroked his long beard and laughed. Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. I am well, but, Your Highness, I see you have been losing vitality recently. I thought to myself, this old Grand Astrologer must be hinting that Zhao Jinghuai is plagued by an evil presence. But I haven't done anything. I've just been following Zhao Jinghuai. The Grand Astrologer's hawk-like eyes fixed on me. He coldly pulled a bottle of medicine from his sleeve and handed it to Zhao Jinghuai. The medicine you requested, Your Highness, is ready. But are you truly decided? Before the Grand Astrologer could finish, Zhao Jinghuai coldly interrupted. There is no need to say more, Grand Astrologer. My mind is made up. The Grand Astrologer said nothing more, pursed his lips, glanced at me, and left with a sweep of his sleeve. But one thing was now clear to me. The Grand Astrologer didn't dare capture me in front of Zhao Jinghuai. As long as I stayed by Zhao Jinghuai's side, I would be safe. Zhao Jinghuai smiled slightly, bid farewell to the Grand Astrologer, and continued into the palace. Today's palace banquet was attended by noble families and high officials from the capital. My eyes were busy, fixed on the dancers on stage. Zhao Jinghuai, the palace dancers have improved so much. I have to say I really love watching them. Zhao Jinghuai sat quietly, drinking by himself. I glanced at the wine in his hand and couldn't help but swallow. Can I have a sip? I'm not human anymore. I won't get drunk so easily. At a palace banquet years ago, I drank too much and got drunk. Zhao Jinghuai had to carry me back to my chambers. I vomited all over him and babbled about taking several husbands. The next day, after sobering up, Zhao Jinghuai gripped my chin and sternly warned me never to drink so much again or else. Zhao Jinghuai wisely left a sip in the cup, silently set it down, and turned his attention elsewhere. I struggled to lift the cup. Thanks to the nourishment of Zhao Jinghuai's blood, I could now pick up some lighter objects. But the other day, when I was carrying a pot of flowers in the courtyard, A maid saw me. The maid could only see the flower pot floating in the air, not my joyful self, and fainted from fright. Since then I've been more careful when handling things, afraid I might scare someone to death and have their ghost come after me. Zhao Jinghuai seemed drunk. With a sweep of his sleeve, he propped his head on the table and closed his eyes to rest. His large frame conveniently blocked the cup I was holding. I laughed aloud, relieved, and picked up the cup to drink. A sharp, spicy sensation shot through my head. I couldn't help but cough, covering my chest against the burning feeling. Zhao Jinghuai, this wine is awful. Next time remember to get fruit wine, the sweet kind. Zhao Jinghuai, with his eyes closed, let out a soft chuckle but suddenly opened them as I looked at him. Our eyes met. I swallowed hard and uncomfortably looked away. Zhao Jinghuai, don't look at me like that in the future, or my heart will still race. Zhao Jinghuai smiled, sat up straight, poured himself another drink, and walked toward the opposite side. Sitting there were Qingqing and her husband Song Zhishu. I grinned. Qingqing was pregnant, and with Song Zhishu's support, she slowly took her seat. Seeing Zhao Jinghuai approaching with a drink, Song Zhishu hurriedly stood and bowed. I couldn't help but frown and complain. Zhao Jinghuai, it seems you often throw your weight around as the regent. Look how scared Song Zhishu is of you. As soon as I spoke, a smile appeared on Zhao Jinghuai's face, though his tone remained cold. There is no need for formalities, General Song. How is your wife's health? Perhaps unaccustomed to such concern from Zhao Jinghuai, Song Zhishu showed no delight, only fear. Song Zhishu's wine cup fell to the ground in fright, spilling on Zhao Jinghuai's moon-white boots. Your Highness, if you have any instructions, please speak. This general will surely comply. Zhao Jinghuai looked awkward, standing there unsure how to respond. I couldn't help but punch Zhao Jinghuai. You always act so unapproachable. Now see? People think you have ulterior motives. Qingqing Sir stood up, her belly prominent, and helped the trembling Song Zhishu to his feet. Qingqing, true to her general's daughter spirit, faced Zhao Jinghuai without fear. Your Highness, please do not take offense. How about I share a drink with you? I quickly grabbed Zhao Jinghuai's hand to stop him. No, Qingqing is pregnant. She can't drink. Zhao Jinghuai's lips curved slightly, and he pointed to the tea on the table. Madame Song may drink tea in place of wine. I breathed a sigh of relief and glanced at the timid Song Zhishu standing behind Qingqing. I had always said that Song Zhishu was inherently timid, unsuited for military life or being a husband. Qingqing just smiled. I think Song Zhishu is quite good. At least he is sincere with me. After drinking, Zhao Jinghuai said nothing and returned to his seat. I followed Zhao Jinghuai, and when I looked back at Qingqing, I saw her lecturing Song Zhishu in a low voice. I couldn't help but laugh. It seems Song Zhishu is henpecked. He listens to his wife in everything. His Majesty the Emperor and Her Majesty the Empress have arrived. A sharp voice cut through the hall's quiet atmosphere. I turned to see the new emperor entering the hall, hand in hand with the empress. The new emperor was my cousin, the most promising child from the Li clan. As a child we studied together at the Imperial Academy, and I often bullied him, making him cry. All present knelt and kowtowed, shouting, "Long live the emperor! Long live the empress!" I turned away, about to ask Zhao Jinghuai if my little cousin was a diligent and caring emperor, when I noticed that Zhao Jinghuai was the only one standing nonchalantly in the hall. Zhao Jinghuai did not kneel. He just stood there holding his wine cup, coldly watching the splendidly dressed emperor and empress, without a trace of a subject's humility. The emperor walked up to Zhao Jinghuai and initiated conversation. Is the regent satisfied with today's banquet? Zhao Jinghuai nodded slightly, his face calm as he sat down to pour wine, not even looking directly at the emperor. The emperor showed no embarrassment. Smiling, he led the empress to the high platform. Today's banquet is for all my ministers to enjoy without restraint. I certainly wasn't restrained, floating freely around the hall. I knew that as long as Zhao Jinghuai was within my sight, the grand astrologer wouldn't capture me. But before I could enjoy myself for long, Li Shiqing made an untimely entrance into the hall. I clung to a pillar in the hall, observing Li Shiqing's every move. The smile on her lips showed she was in high spirits. Li Shiqing gracefully greeted the emperor, and after receiving his response, she swayed over to Zhao Jinghuai. I couldn't help but spit. Others said they wouldn't bring you, and yet you come uninvited. Zhao Jinghuai's face was icy. He instinctively moved a step away from Li Shiqing. A smile tugged at my lips. At least Zhao Jinghuai knew better than to act too familiar and upset me. Li Shiqing didn't give up. She picked up a teacup and approached Zhao Jinghuai, asking softly, "Your Highness, aren't you going to ask why I rushed here in such a hurry?" Zhao Jinghuai glanced coldly at Li Shiqing, then turned to meet Qingqing's furious glare. I burst out laughing. Indeed, Qingqing was the one who cared about me most, knowing how much I detested Li Shiqing. Li Shiqing pressed her chest against Zhao Jinghuai, leaning against him as if boneless. "Your Highness, I haven't been feeling well lately. I called the imperial physician, and he said I am 2 months pregnant." My grip on the pillar loosened, and I fell straight from the beam. My bottom hurt, but not as much as my heart. Zhao Jinghuai froze, his slender hand gripping the wine cup tightly, unable to utter a word. Li Shiqing leaned on Zhao Jinghuai's shoulder, said, "Your Highness must be very happy, right?" "I am too." I sat slumped on the ground, fighting back tears as I stared at Zhao Jinghuai's expressionless face. I should have been prepared long ago. Li Shiqing is Zhao Jinghuai's princess, and this was inevitable. Before Zhao Jinghuai could respond, the emperor smiled and said, "Royal sister's pregnancy is a joyous occasion. The regent has had no heirs for many years. Now you can continue the Zhao family line." My heart ached and I slowly floated to Qingqing's side, not wanting to see Zhao Jinghuai's face anymore. Qingqing's face was pale with anger, as if she herself had been betrayed, and she cursed through gritted teeth while stroking her belly. "That wretch Li Shiqing dares to get pregnant? I'll make sure her child never sees the light of day." Seeing Qingqing's indignation, I laughed through my tears and reached out to gently stroke her belly. Qingqing suddenly stiffened, turning her head to look at me in disbelief. "Is it my imagination? Why do I feel Shurha's presence?" I was startled and quickly removed my hand from Qingqing. Song Jishu smiled and pulled Qingqing into his arms. "You're imagining things again. Princess Chongning has been gone for 3 years. Qingqing sighed, a tear rolling down her cheek. "Yes, Shurha has been gone for 3 years, and now that wretch Li Shiqing has taken her place." While I was still immersed in the sadness of being separated from Qingqing by life and death, I heard Zhao Jinghuai's voice, cold as ice, echo through the hall. "Pregnant? I have never had conjugal relations with you." Li Shiqing's face changed dramatically. She grabbed Zhao Jinghuai's sleeve and explained tearfully, "Your Highness, have you forgotten? That night when you were drunk." Zhao Jinghuai mercilessly shook her off. Li Shiqing lost her balance, fell to the ground, and her carefully styled hair came loose. I peeked out, staring in disbelief at the scene. This turn of events was unexpected. Even if the child wasn't Zhao Jinghuai's, he shouldn't have said it in front of everyone. Does Zhao Jinghuai actually enjoy letting others know he's been cuckolded? Everyone in the hall froze, watching this drama unfold. The emperor also looked embarrassed and didn't know how to respond. Li Shiqing, not giving up, crawled to Zhao Jinghuai and continued to plead. "It's not like that, Your Highness, that night you clearly..." "Clearly what?" Zhao Jinghuai looked coldly at the woman groveling at his feet. "Clearly fell for the aphrodisiac you slipped me?" I covered my mouth, feeling like I had stumbled upon some shocking gossip. Li Shiqing's face stiffened. She hadn't expected her scheme to have been uncovered by Zhao Jinghuai long ago. "Your Highness, you knew?" Zhao Jinghuai kicked Li Shiqing away without mercy, disdainfully brushing his snow-white robes. "I knew all along." Li Shiqing had never consummated her marriage with Zhao Jinghuai, yet she was suddenly pregnant. Anyone with eyes could see what was going on. The hall erupted in whispers and murmurs. Li Shiqing curled up by the table, covering her face with her sleeve in terror. "You lied to me, you lied to me." Zhao Jinghuai turned to the emperor and abruptly requested, "Your Majesty, I ask that you annul my marriage to this wretched woman. My Zhao family cannot tolerate such a person." Helpless, since the matter was now public, the emperor had no choice but to issue an edict annulling the marriage. Li Shiqing was ultimately driven out of the regent's mansion with a letter of divorce. The emperor, considering that Li Shiqing was once a princess, arranged a residence for her so she could live out her days. But on one condition: the child in her womb must be aborted. After the palace banquet ended, I did not follow Zhao Jinghuai back to his mansion. I floated onto Qingqing's carriage, intending to go home with her. But for some reason, Zhao Jinghuai went crazy that day. He grabbed Song Jishu's hand and said he wanted to have a heartfelt talk with him, so he followed Song Jishu back to the general's mansion. I rolled my eyes at Zhao Jinghuai and got on the carriage without looking back. Zhao Jinghuai rode his horse alongside the carriage, occasionally trying to make conversation with Qingqing, wanting her to lift the curtain. Qingqing didn't want to engage with him at all and said through the curtain irritably, "Your Highness is quite peculiar today. Our Song family has had little interaction with you. What is the meaning of you following my husband home to drink and chat?" I couldn't help but agree with Qingqing. Well said. The prince really has too much time on his hands. Zhao Jinghuai outside the carriage didn't respond, just silently followed on his horse. True to his word, Zhao Jinghuai went to the general's mansion and drank Song Jishu under the table. Qingqing got angry, strode to the dining table with her belly protruding, and confronted Zhao Jinghuai. "If your highness has any grievances, speak directly. There's no need to get my husband drunk." Standing by Qingqing's side, I couldn't help but defend her. "Zhao Jinghuai, what's wrong with you? Song Jishu has a low alcohol tolerance." Song Jishu was horrified, quickly covering Qingqing's mouth and apologizing to Zhao Jinghuai. "Your Highness, please forgive her. My wife has been irritable since becoming pregnant." Zhao Jinghuai glanced at me, but in Song Jishu's eyes it seemed Zhao Jinghuai was looking at his wife. As if realizing something, Song Jishu knelt in terror, kowtowing repeatedly. "Your Highness, spare my wife. She is pregnant. If you want beautiful women, I will find some for you." Zhao Jinghuai's face looked worse than if he had swallowed a fly, his mouth twitching. "General Song, do you think I have taken a fancy to your wife?" Qingqing and I were both stunned, clearly not expecting Song Jishu to think that way. Qingqing was the first to react, slapping Song Jishu on the back. "What a disgrace. Even if he did fancy me, would I fancy him? I'm not blind." Zhao Jinghuai didn't get angry. Instead he smiled and bowed to Qingqing. "Madam Song is right. My behavior has indeed caused General Song to misunderstand." I couldn't hold back my laughter, surprised that Zhao Jinghuai, as the all-powerful regent, would be wary of a mere general's wife. After all the commotion today, I felt refreshed and looked at Zhao Jinghuai with a smile in my eyes. "For Qingqing's sake, I'll go home with you." As if he could hear me, Zhao Jinghuai indeed bowed to Song Jishu and said goodbye. "I have disturbed you today, General Song. I hope you do not mind." Amid Song Jishu and Qingqing's astonishment, Zhao Jinghuai walked out of the general's mansion, slowly fanning himself. I reached out and tugged Zhao Jinghuai's sleeve. "You know what's good for you. I'm not angry today." Zhao Jinghuai's eyebrows lifted with joy, and a faint smile played on his lips throughout the entire journey back. But that night as I lay in bed, Zhao Jinghuai couldn't sleep, staring blankly at the ceiling. I turned over and lay on top of Zhao Jinghuai, using my index finger to play with his fluttering eyelashes. In the darkness, Zhao Jinghuai slowly spoke. "Li Shihe, do you hate me?" I froze, my finger resting between Zhao Jinghuai's eyebrows, feeling his scorching body temperature. After a long time, Zhao Jinghuai let out a shallow sigh in the dark. "I didn't keep my promise to protect your sister." "Me? Yeah. When did I ever ask him to protect my sister? Li Shiqing? Am I crazy?" Zhao Jinghuai closed his eyes, and when his eyelashes shut, they brushed against my fingertip, sending a shiver through me. I didn't answer, didn't say that when I wrote that letter of severance, I only told him to treat Li Shiqing well to save Qiu Yu's life. I lay on Zhao Jinghuai, feeling his breathing gradually steady as he fell asleep. Zhao Jinghuai's complexion had been getting worse lately, and I often wondered if I was really draining his vitality. In the storybooks, female spirits often drain men's essence this way. I couldn't help but shudder. Although I often teased Zhao Jinghuai, I didn't want to actually kill him. After all, I could never repay the debt of his family's 100+ lives, even in the next life. Thinking this, I moved away from him a bit, but the next morning I found myself curled up in his arms again. I slapped myself in frustration. I should have let that old Taoist capture me, so I wouldn't stay in this world harming innocent people. Zhao Jinghuai's eyelids lifted slightly, and he quietly watched me slapping myself. Embarrassed, even though I knew he couldn't see me, my face still reddened slightly. "Zhao Jinghuai, I think I should leave. Otherwise, you'll really be drained of your essence." I crawled out of the blankets, got up, and was about to float away, but after a moment's thought I turned back. I studied Zhao Jinghuai's eyes, still hazy from sleep. "Since I'm leaving anyway, one kiss isn't too much, right?" I closed my eyes and trembled as I pressed my lips to his slightly cool ones. Zhao Jinghuai didn't react, just lay quietly on the bed, his lips parting as if he couldn't breathe. Feeling the warm breath from his lips, I jerked upright, trying to calm myself. Staying with Zhao Jinghuai would only make his health deteriorate, and that wasn't what I wanted. Just as I turned to leave, a deep voice stopped me. Going to run away after taking advantage? I froze as if struck by lightning, unable to move a muscle, not daring to look back at Zhao Jinghuai. Zhao Jinghuai sat up slowly. Where are you planning to go now? The general's mansion? Or the imperial mausoleum? I swallowed nervously, turned around incredulously, and met Zhao Jinghuai's slightly teasing eyes. You could see me all along? Zhao Jinghuai shook his head. Not at the mausoleum. I felt utterly humiliated. The thought that all the nonsense I'd been saying these days had been heard by Zhao Jinghuai made me wish I could die. But unfortunately I was just a wisp of a soul now, I couldn't die. Zhao Jinghuai leaned in close, a smile curling his thin lips. You kissed me. Aren't you going to take responsibility? My face flushed bright red. I sat on the edge of the bed, biting my lip hard, unable to speak. Zhao Jinghuai's collar was slightly open, revealing his attractive collarbones and chest, but he still pressed closer. What are you looking at? Do you find me handsome? I put some distance between us, shrinking into a corner of the bed, watching him warily. I'm making you sicker. Even the grand astrologer said you're deficient in vitality. It must be because my yin energy is too strong and affecting you. As I spoke, tears began to fall uncontrollably. I admit I'm a crybaby, but wait a minute. I can't cry. For 3 years, every time I wanted to cry, not a single tear would fall. I touched the glistening tears on my cheeks in disbelief, staring wide-eyed at Zhao Jinghuai. Zhao Jinghuai smiled, his gaze heavy on me. Sure, you're about to return to the world of the living. Me? Yeah. Was Zhao Jinghuai saying I could come back to life? But my remains were only a few bones now. Before I could react, Zhao Jinghuai took my bones out of the secret room. My skeleton was actually incomplete. Many parts had been missing when I was buried. Zhao Jinghuai looked calmly at the bones in the brocade box. The grand astrologer once said that if your soul refuses to move on, there's a way to bring you back. I looked up at Zhao Jinghuai's determined face. What method? Zhao Jinghuai didn't answer, just started putting on his clothes by himself. I had a bad feeling, suspecting that the reason for Zhao Jinghuai's recent weight loss was because he knew of some method to save me. That night, when Zhao Jinghuai tried to draw blood again, I stopped him in time, threatening that if he continued, I would leave and never return. Zhao Jinghuai stopped, warning me coldly. If you dare disappear without a word again, I'll kill myself and come find you as a ghost to settle the score. I burst out laughing, thinking that even after 3 years, Zhao Jinghuai was still so childish. Zhao Jinghuai calmed down, took the letter of severance I had written from the wardrobe. Back then you left this letter and disappeared without a trace. When I led the army into the capital, I couldn't find you. I was stunned. Wasn't it you who ordered me to be sacrificed? Zhao Jinghuai rubbed the faded letter with his large hand, a trace of sorrow in his deep eyes. I searched the entire palace but couldn't find you. It was only days later that I found you in the mass grave outside the capital. I'm sorry I was too late. I collapsed to the floor, my eyes fixed on the letter of severance I had written with my own hand. It wasn't you who told me to die? Zhao Jinghuai's eyes darkened, looking at my tear-streaked face in disbelief. What do you mean? Only then did I realize that Li Shiqing had forged Zhao Jinghuai's military order back then, making me think Zhao Jinghuai really wanted me dead. Without another word, Zhao Jinghuai rode to Li Shiqing's mansion. Even floating, I couldn't catch up with Zhao Jinghuai that day. Li Shiqing, seeing Zhao Jinghuai storm into her mansion, thought he had changed his mind and greeted him with a smile. Your Highness, you finally remembered me. I knew you. Was it you who forged the military order? Zhao Jinghuai showed no mercy, kicking Li Shiqing hard in the chest. Li Shiqing was sent flying several meters, immediately spitting blood. When I arrived at the princess's mansion, I saw Li Shiqing collapsed on the ground, bleeding from the mouth. Zhao Jinghuai's eyes were bloodshot as he angrily grabbed Li Shiqing by the collar. It was you? Do you know your sister was my life? You killed her, so I'll take yours. Li Shiqing had a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth and laughed madly. You only found out now? And you kept your wife's killer in your mansion, treating her well for 3 years. You must regret it so much now, regret not finding out sooner. I stood by Li Shiqing's side. She was my sister. Even though I knew she had killed me, I never thought of making her pay with her life. Li Shiqing laughed scornfully. Li Shihe is just a fool. I threatened her with Qiu Yu's life, and she really wrote that letter of severance, telling you to treat me well. Zhao Jinghuai pursed his thin lips tightly, strangling Li Shiqing with his hands. Li Shiqing was almost suffocated but still taunted him disdainfully. I was just jealous of her. Why could she win your heart but I couldn't? Li Shihe deserved to die. Do you know how she died? I had her torn apart by 5 horses. Zhao Jinghuai's eyes were bloodshot, his grip tightening. At the critical moment I grabbed Zhao Jinghuai's arm. Zhao Jinghuai, spare her life. Zhao Jinghuai didn't let go but tightened his grip. I panicked and shouted with all my might. Stop! Everything fell silent. Zhao Jinghuai obediently released his hand, and Li Shiqing slumped to the ground, coughing and clutching her neck. After a long time Li Shiqing looked up in terror. Your Highness, Li Shihe's voice, did you hear it? Zhao Jinghuai sneered. Yes, Shihe has returned. I leaned close to Li Shiqing mischievously. Although I didn't want her dead, I wanted to scare her as a lesson. I bent down and breathed into Li Shiqing's ear, laughing scornfully. Shiqing, your sister is back. Li Shiqing screamed as if she had seen a ghost, curling up at Zhao Jinghuai's feet. Zhao Jinghuai kicked her away in disgust. Do you know why Shihe came back? It's because you wronged her to death. Li Shiqing's mind was disturbed by the shock. Her words and actions became increasingly mad, and she began clawing at her own face. In less than a moment, her delicate, pretty face was covered in bloody scratches, looking hideous. Zhao Jinghuai glanced coldly at Li Shiqing, but when he turned to me, his expression was gentle as water. Shihe, let's go. I floated to Zhao Jinghuai's side, wrapped my arms around his neck, and nodded with a smile. Perhaps shocked by Zhao Jinghuai's actions, Li Shiqing stared wide-eyed at Zhao Jinghuai's bizarre behavior, and finally went completely mad. I'm someone who can't stay idle. Whenever Zhao Jinghuai had time, I wanted him to take me shopping. Even though I couldn't eat many things or touch much, just seeing the lively human world made me happy. After a day of shopping, as I pulled Zhao Jinghuai back to the mansion, I encountered the Grand Astrologer waiting at the gate. The Grand Astrologer stroked his gray beard. His eyes narrowed to slits. Your Highness, recently you've been drawing blood twice a day? I looked at Zhao Jinghuai in shock. I had been monitoring him constantly lately, not allowing him to draw blood for me anymore. Zhao Jinghuai's thin lips were pressed into a tight line. His deep eyes fixed heavily on the Grand Astrologer, with a hint of warning. The Grand Astrologer didn't look at Zhao Jinghuai anymore but turned his gaze to me. Princess Chongning, how have you been these 3 years? I raised an eyebrow and instinctively glanced at Zhao Jinghuai beside me. Zhao Jinghuai's expression was normal, as if he had long known the Grand Astrologer could see me. I smiled gracefully and bowed to the Grand Astrologer. How have you been, Grand Astrologer? The Grand Astrologer had been in the palace for over 20 years. When I was young, I often went to play at his place. Whenever I stole the golden pills he carefully refined, he would chase me around the palace with his whisk. Every time the Grand Astrologer caught me, I would tug at his gray beard and act spoiled. Grand Astrologer, you love Chongning the most, right? On the day of the palace coup, when I was tied to several horses, I vaguely saw the Grand Astrologer riding towards me. But the Grand Astrologer was still a step too late. I ultimately died under the city wall. The Grand Astrologer forced a smile, looking at me with apology. I have finally found a way to save you in these 3 years, Princess. The Grand Astrologer wanted to say more but was cut off by Zhao Jinghuai. Grand Astrologer, did you come to see me today for something? Zhao Jinghuai pulled the Grand Astrologer to a secluded spot, and before leaving, he grabbed my arm and warned me not to eavesdrop. Naturally curious, I still sneaked after them. In the secluded spot, the Grand Astrologer took a strangely shaped object from his sleeve and placed it in Zhao Jinghuai's hand. The two whispered to each other, but I couldn't hear a word. I could only see Zhao Jinghuai's face growing darker. I leaned against the corner wall, not daring to breathe heavily. After a long time, when I looked again, I saw Zhao Jinghuai bowing respectfully to the Grand Astrologer. Zhao Jinghuai, who usually disregarded others, was actually being so polite to the Grand Astrologer. I floated back to the room early and curled up under the covers, waiting for Zhao Jinghuai to return. Zhao Jinghuai didn't come to lift the covers today. Unusually, he walked straight into the secret room. I followed into the secret room and hid behind a bookshelf, watching Zhao Jinghuai tremble as he opened the brocade box and placed the strange object inside. Zhao Jinghuai silently recited a string of incantations I didn't understand. I looked down and saw that my feet had unknowingly landed firmly on the ground. That solid feeling underfoot made me feel truly alive again. I gently stamped my feet, and the ground echoed with firm footsteps. I looked up in shock and met Zhao Jinghuai's smiling face. "Shurha, come here." Zhao Jinghuai extended a large, well-defined hand towards me, a smile curling his thin lips. As if bewitched, I lifted my skirt and walked towards Zhao Jinghuai, my body completely out of my control. Zhao Jinghuai pulled me into his embrace, and only then did I see the long gash on his wrist. "What are you?" Before I could finish, Zhao Jinghuai suddenly covered my mouth with his. A bloody taste spread in my mouth. I couldn't push Zhao Jinghuai away, and could only let him kiss me. After a moment, Zhao Jinghuai reluctantly released me. "Shurha, you can come back to life, just like a normal person." My eyes sparkled with joy. This was something I had fantasized about countless times, but bringing someone back from the dead was easier said than done. Before I could ask, Zhao Jinghuai held me tightly. "You were meant to live a smooth life. Your peaceful days were ultimately delayed by me for so many years." I cried and shook my head. Back then, I couldn't stop my father from exterminating the Zhao family, and later, I couldn't prevent the palace coup. It was all karma. My death was my own choice. Even if Li Shiqing hadn't forced me that day, I would have picked up the leftover poison in my parents' bedchamber and drunk it. I couldn't face Zhao Jinghuai, and even less could I face myself. But unfortunately, just as I decided to poison myself, Li Shiqing found me. Anyway, death was death. Dying at Li Shiqing's hands would at least save Qiu Yu's life. Zhao Jinghuai rested his chin on my shoulder, starting with a light laugh, but then his breathing became erratic. I pushed Zhao Jinghuai away to check and found that he was unconscious, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. I settled Zhao Jinghuai on the bed, and then floated straight to the Grand Astrologer's alchemy room. The Grand Astrologer seemed to have expected me, still sitting on the meditation cushion I used when visiting him. "Chongning, I didn't expect you to come so soon." I knelt before the Grand Astrologer, clutching my painfully aching chest. On the way here I had been discovered. Because I wasn't entirely human yet, I occasionally floated in the air, scaring passers-by. The capital's citizens chased me for several blocks, throwing stones and cursing me as a monster. Ignoring the pain I could now feel, I tremblingly knelt before the Grand Astrologer. "Grand Astrologer, you know what's wrong with Zhao Jinghuai, don't you?" Zhao Jinghuai and the Grand Astrologer had a long secret talk, and the Grand Astrologer gave Zhao Jinghuai a strange object. I refused to believe there was no connection. The Grand Astrologer sighed helplessly, stroking his gray beard. "This is the regent's own choice. You should know that, Chongning." I slumped to the ground, feeling as if all strength had been drained from me. "What method did you discover over these 3 years?" "The life exchange curse," the Grand Astrologer revealed helplessly. When Zhao Jinghuai came to the imperial mausoleum to find me, he learned of the life exchange curse's existence. By nourishing my bones with his essence and blood for 2 months, he could perform the life exchange curse. The object I gave the regent today is the bronze talisman that activates the life exchange curse. The Grand Astrologer sighed deeply. "I suppose the regent has already activated the curse?" Tears welling in my eyes, I nodded, kneeling at the Grand Astrologer's feet, begging him to undo the curse. "Grand Astrologer, Zhao Jinghuai's life shouldn't end like this." The Grand Astrologer helped me up, unable to bear looking at me, turned away. "Chongning, do you know how the regent lived these 3 years after your death?" I was stunned. Over these 3 years, I had been preoccupied with how I endured my time in the mausoleum but never asked how Zhao Jinghuai had coped. The Grand Astrologer led me into the alchemy room and showed me rows of white porcelain bottles. "These are all elixirs the regent and I refined together over 3 years. After finding my body in the mass grave, Zhao Jinghuai was so traumatized he spat blood and was bedridden. A month later, under the Grand Astrologer's careful care, Zhao Jinghuai gradually recovered. With Zhao Jinghuai's power, no one would dare oppose him if he wanted to be emperor. But he didn't. Instead, he placed a member of the Li clan on the throne. Because in Zhao Jinghuai's view, nothing was more important than seeing me again. But how easy was it to resurrect someone whose body had been exposed and soul incomplete? For 3 years, Zhao Jinghuai and the Grand Astrologer practically lived in the alchemy room, finally discovering this method of defying fate. I tightly grasped the Grand Astrologer's sleeve, my eyes bloodshot from agitation. Zhao Jinghuai will die, won't he? The Grand Astrologer shook his head. Not just death, his soul will scatter, never to reincarnate for eternity. The blood Zhao Jinghuai dripped on my bones daily was gradually transferring his 3 souls and 6 spirits into my body through the blood. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I should have realized when I noticed Zhao Jinghuai's increasingly pale face over a month ago that he was exchanging his life for mine. I wandered despondently through the capital's streets. If only I had stayed in the mausoleum to perish, why did I follow Zhao Jinghuai down the mountain? Zhao Jinghuai remained unconscious. The Grand Astrologer said the life exchange curse would complete in 3 days after activation. I felt my body becoming more substantial but couldn't feel any joy. At the end of the corridor, Qiu Yu looked at me with joy in her eyes. Princess, I knew the regent could save you. Qiu Yu, did you know about Zhao Jinghuai's plan? I rushed over, disregarding Qiu Yu's frightened expression, and grabbed her shoulders. Though Qiu Yu hoped for my return, seeing me suddenly appear before her still scared her. The regent said he would definitely save you, princess, because he owes you a life. When did Zhao Jinghuai owe me a life? It was just a power struggle between the Li and Zhao families. Qiu Yu knelt beside me, crying, her arms tightly wrapped around my legs. Princess, the regent couldn't save the crown prince back then. He said he owes you a life. My brother died in battle. The enemy was the Zhao family. How could Zhao Jinghuai save him? Qiu Yu smiled bitterly. The regent's only targets were his and her majesty. He didn't harm anyone else. It was Princess Chang'e who ordered the massacre of the crown prince and all the royal family. Li Shiqing stole the military tally and colluded with Zhao Jinghuai's subordinates, slaughtering the entire Zhao family within the palace walls. By the time Zhao Jinghuai arrived, all he saw was a palace flowing with rivers of blood. But the situation was already irreversible. Zhao Jinghuai could do nothing to change it and had no choice but to support a new emperor. The subordinates involved were executed on Zhao Jinghuai's orders, but Li Shiqing survived because of a letter I had written. I stared at Qiu Yu in disbelief, leaning weakly against the pillar behind me. So it was Li Shiqing who killed all my Zhao family siblings? Receiving confirmation, I turned and went straight to the princess's mansion. Now completely mad, Li Shiqing only knew to crouch by the pond watching the fish. I suddenly floated forward and gripped Li Shiqing's throat. Li Shiqing, I originally intended to spare your life because of your madness, but now I see how foolish I was. Even though she was insane, Li Shiqing still recognized my face. Li Shihe, you've come back from the dead? I sneered, tightening my grip. You should go underground and face our father and mother, and confess your sins properly. Li Shiqing panicked, a tear rolling from the corner of her eye as she pleaded in a trembling voice. Sister, I was just jealous of you, that's why I did those foolish things. I no longer wanted to hear her explanations. In my eyes now, only by killing Li Shiqing could I avenge the hundreds of lives in my Zhao family. I closed my eyes, tightly choking Li Shiqing's neck until she gradually stopped struggling and breathing. Then I released my grip. I flung Li Shiqing away, her body crashing straight into the pond, sending splashes everywhere. I couldn't help but spit. Letting you die so easily is truly a pity. Before I could vent my anger for even the time it takes a stick of incense to burn, Qiu Yu rushed to the princess's mansion in a panic. Princess, it's terrible. The prince. I'm afraid the prince is dying. When I arrived at the prince's mansion, all I saw was blood covering the floor and Zhao Jinghuai lying in a pool of blood. Zhao Jinghuai still tightly gripped that familiar dagger, blood continuously seeping from his wrist. I held Zhao Jinghuai weakly. Are you an idiot? Don't you know the life exchange curse will kill you? Zhao Jinghuai chuckled softly, his blood-stained hand stroking my face. Over these 3 years I've imagined this scene countless times. Being able to touch you for real, that alone satisfies me. I could no longer hold back my tears, repeatedly hitting his chest. You said you would hate me forever. Have you forgotten? Zhao Jinghuai smiled bitterly, but due to his agitation, blood kept trickling from the corner of his mouth. If I hadn't numbed myself by saying I hated you, how could I have endured these 3 years? For the next 2 days, Zhao Jinghuai was only conscious for an hour or two each day. The emperor, hearing the news, came to the regent's mansion, his face full of anxiety and concern. The news of Zhao Jinghuai's critical condition spread throughout the capital in less than a day. The commoners said the emperor was hoping for the regent's death, as it would mean the emperor could grasp real power. But now, it seemed the commoners' words might not be true. The emperor seemed genuinely worried about Zhao Jinghuai. Zhao Jinghuai had no color in his face, but he still forced himself to receive the emperor. As soon as he saw Zhao Jinghuai, the young emperor knelt before him with a thud. "Your Highness, you promised to support me for a lifetime. How can you leave like this?" I hid behind the screen, not showing myself. Now, only the Grand Astrologer and the people in the regent's mansion knew of my resurrection. I absolutely dared not see the emperor. Zhao Jinghuai chuckled softly and handed the tiger tally to the emperor. "Before, I thought you were not steady enough and were fooled by Li Shiqing's schemes. But now, it seems you truly have the ability to be a virtuous emperor." The emperor held the tiger tally, sobbing uncontrollably as he knelt before Zhao Jinghuai. Zhao Jinghuai's slender fingers brushed the young emperor's head. "My life was never worth much. Now I have achieved my wish. You haven't seen your elder sister yet, have you?" The emperor stopped crying, looking at Zhao Jinghuai in astonishment. "Elder sister drowned in the pond yesterday. Does your highness wish to see her?" In the emperor's view, Zhao Jinghuai had long annulled his marriage with Li Shiqing, so why would he think of her now? He was taken aback. Zhao Jinghuai shook his head, his slender finger pointing behind the screen. "I mean your elder sister, Chongning." The emperor's face changed, and he moved hesitantly behind the screen, where he saw me trying to hide in embarrassment. "Elder sister Chongning? Didn't you pass away 3 years ago?" The emperor widened his eyes in horror, covering his mouth. I smiled awkwardly. "Indeed, I have returned from the dead." Only then did the emperor realize why Zhao Jinghuai had spent every day with the Grand Astrologer over the past 3 years. Zhao Jinghuai sighed, calling to us in a weak voice. "Why are you still hiding behind the screen? I have more to say." I quickly pushed the emperor out and tidied my appearance before walking out. Zhao Jinghuai said he wanted to see my beautiful face in his final days. I laughed. "I am still 19, of course, young and beautiful. Zhao Jinghuai, if you dare die, I will go find a talented and handsome man to marry." Zhao Jinghuai's deep eyes rested on my face and he forced a faint smile. "Although it makes me a bit angry to hear that, if it really happens, it might be for the best." I said nothing more, just quietly watched as black spots spread across Zhao Jinghuai's body, due to the life exchange curse. The day Zhao Jinghuai died was very peaceful. I lay in the crook of his arm, desperately breathing in his scent. Zhao Jinghuai held me, chatting about childhood memories as if it were any other day, saying that I had been fearless since I was young, so why was I now afraid of his death? I giggled and playfully pinched him. "How did I not know you noticed me so early?" At the palace banquet when I was 7, Zhao Jinghuai found me by the pond in the imperial garden, taking off my shoes to catch fish. Zhao Jinghuai said that since he had seen my feet, he had to marry me. I smiled bitterly and snuggled closer into his arms. "It's just a pity that we never married in either life." Zhao Jinghuai stroked my long hair and pulled out a marriage certificate from somewhere. "I drafted this marriage certificate long before our engagement. Shurha, will you read it to me?" I looked up into Zhao Jinghuai's gentle eyes and unconsciously smiled. "Okay." I took the gilded marriage certificate from Zhao Jinghuai's hand and read it word by word. "The union of two families, a hall sworn in harmony, a blessed bond forever sealed, a match made in heaven." After finishing, I looked up at Zhao Jinghuai. His eyes were closed, but the corners of his lips were still slightly upturned. I calmly closed the marriage certificate, gently placed it on Zhao Jinghuai's chest, and pressed my face against it in despair. "Zhao Jinghuai, you are so foolish. If you are no longer in this world, what meaning is there in me living alone?" I tightly closed the door, took out the poison I had stolen from the Grand Astrologer, and drank it in one gulp. After drinking, I calmly sat in front of the bronze mirror and slowly applied rouge. The life exchange curse had succeeded. I looked at my rosy face in the mirror, then turned to glance at Zhao Jinghuai's pale form on the bed. "Zhao Jinghuai, you will not be lonely in death. I will come to you." As the poison took effect, I clutched my stomach and moved to the bedside, smiling as I lay down beside Zhao Jinghuai. In a daze, I seemed to see Zhao Jinghuai in moon-white robes, smiling and beckoning to me. "Shurha, will you call me your husband?" A smile touched my lips as I shyly threw myself into Zhao Jinghuai's arms. Husband. In this life and beyond I will never leave you. For all eternity I pledge myself to you. Zhao Jinghuai's epilogue. Recently, rumors spread in the capital that a woman had taken a liking to me. I sent my subordinates to investigate and learned it was that impulsive Princess Chongning from the palace. I couldn't help but chuckle. That girl was lively, quite different from the stiff figures in the palace. Not long after, while I was practicing swordplay in the courtyard, I saw a young maid in palace attire climbing the wall to sneak a look at me. My early morning drowsiness vanished instantly, and I performed a fluid set of launching sword techniques to impress her. But to my disappointment, the girl just stared blankly from the wall, her face devoid of expression. Feeling rather bored, I sheathed my sword and stomped into my study in a huff. Chongning didn't come to spy on me for a month. The next time I heard news of her, my attendants told me she was kneeling outside the emperor's hall, pleading for a marriage decree. Startled, I found an opportunity to enter the palace. I was a bit angry. Hadn't she often climbed walls to watch me recently, seizing every chance to give me gifts? And now she was requesting a marriage decree? I wanted to see who this man was that could win Chongning's hand. When I arrived at the hall, I saw Chongning walking toward me, smiling radiantly as she held the imperial decree. Zhao Jinghuai, you are to marry me, your princess. That night I was overjoyed, galloping my horse back and forth through the capital's streets several times. I thought I could maintain a perfect image in front of Chongning, but heaven had other plans. Who would have thought my future princess would be someone who couldn't cook but was obsessed with trying? I drank a bowl of her soup and looking at her expectant face, couldn't bring myself to lie. Too salty. But I never expected that after over a decade of impeccable reputation, I would be utterly humiliated in front of my fiancé because of a trip to the latrine. I pressed Chongning against the wall fiercely. If you dare breathe a word of this, I'll make you pay. Chongning shrunk back, looking so pitiful like a wronged child that I couldn't bear to scold her further. I adored this little princess, often cornering her in secluded spots to make her call me husband. But Chongning always blushed and said she hadn't married me yet, refusing to call me husband. I thought there was no hurry. She would become my little princess eventually. But lately my father had been worried, often clutching military reports with a frown. One night, he called me into his study and said the emperor had been criticizing our mansion frequently lately, likely plotting to destroy us. The next time I saw Chongning, I didn't give her a friendly look. But she didn't seem bothered, simply taking my hand and saying that in a month, I would be her husband. I couldn't resist her and finally surrendered, pulling her into my arms. Half a month later my father sent me to Qingzhou for training. By the time I returned to the capital, the Zhao family had been executed. Under the protection of my father's subordinates, I went to Qingzhou to bide my time and plan revenge for my family. I heard from attendants that Chongning had been reprimanded by the emperor for the Zhao family's downfall, and confined to her chambers for a month. I wanted to rescue her. After all, she was my wife. On the day of the palace coup, when I rushed to the imperial city on horseback, I couldn't find Chongning anywhere. Li Shiqing told me Chongning had taken her own life, leaving a blood-soaked letter severing ties with me. Chongning was dead. The grand astrologer told me there was a spell in this world that could bring the dead back to life. I wanted to resurrect Chongning, to hear from her own lips whether her words of severance were true. 3 years. I finally found a way, even though the grand astrologer repeatedly warned that the life exchange curse required a life for a life. I sneered indifferently. If it can save Chongning, I would die 10,000 times without regret. Seeing the girl before me becoming more real each day, I was happy every day, longing to hold her in my arms without restraint. But I couldn't. I didn't dare. In the end, I succeeded in bringing Chongning back to life. On the day I felt my end was near, I took out the marriage certificate and asked Chongning to read it to me. I had written this many years ago, discarding dozens of drafts. This was the one I was most satisfied with. Hearing the girl in my arms read the certificate word by word with earnestness, I closed my eyes contentedly. Though the thought of another man protecting Chongning after my death made my heart ache with bitterness. But still, this was for the best.